This episode of the Home Podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now on to the show.
Lion just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and Podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan Lyons. Jordan, how you doing?
Good, how are you? I didn't have a nickname.
No nickname. I'm just trying to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I was a little confused because at first I was talking to Jimmy Carter and then you just started an intro, so I felt like you cut off the former president here.
Fine-tuning my Jimmy Carter impression before we went on
and
air.
Boy, was it fine.
Just so I can, they all are. Just so I can bring it out if need be later on. So.
Yeah, it'll be worth the wait.
Yeah, definitely. Or it might not happen at all. But Jordan, how you doing today?
Good. I've got the windows open for the first time this fall. It's we've had a few mornings in the 50s, which is it's the sign of fall in Florida, which is great.
That's
what
great.
What about you? We talk about fall a lot lately.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I think we probably
maybe let's not dwell on it too much.
Well-worn turf. It's a cold, overcast day here in northern Illinois. I don't know the extent of the winds, but the winds are plentiful. Jordan, speaking of plentiful, you've been working hard on some pages for a creative endeavor of yours, and I wanted to give you the floor to just kind of talk about what you've been doing and what you've been working on.
Yeah. So maybe some of our listeners know that I wrote a self-published book that was kind of like a coaching basketball book, and wanted to continue that, but went into the fiction realm. I had about 80% of this book done for maybe like a half year, and then just couldn't figure out how I wanted to end it, and the mood struck me earlier this week.
Yeah.
And I finished it, so...
Well, congratulations.
Got another book? Yeah, the first draft. So now you're on to editing and marketing and all that kind of stuff, which is just exciting. But yeah, I got the cover done, posted that on Twitter, so if anybody is interested in seeing that, it's on my Twitter. And,
I believe we retweeted it as well, so they can see that.
The Home and Podcast coming through in the clutch. So you're just using our platforms. But yeah, it's a children's fiction chapter book based on basketball. So
what's the title?
Crunch Time Cam.
And Cam is your protagonist, I take it?
No, it's all about cameras.
Oh, it's a camera. Is it like that Goosebumps where they have the camera say cheese and die, where they take a picture?
It's the exact same. I wish you wouldn't have just given away the plot of my book.
Ryan Gosling's in that episode of Goosebumps. Fun fact for you.
Whoa.
Well, Jordan, congratulations. And
Thanks.
How long is it?
It's about 11,000 words, something like that. It's probably for like a 4th, 5th, 6th grader, something like that.
Okay, so 11,000 words. Can you maybe put that in pages for me, roughly?
It worked out to about 70 pages, something like that.
Crunch Time Cam coming to Barnes & Noble near you sometime soon, or perhaps an Amazon published job.
For sure, Amazon. There will be physical copies. There will be electronic copies. You'll be able to have your pick.
Okay, great. Well, be sure to keep us posted about that as you make progress and move forward. All right.
We'll do. Are you working on anything?
We're real proud of you here at Home Podcast. Am I working on anything?
I mean, I know you're working on your website.
They're
working on a personal website.
Working on a personal website for a while. Beyond that, I have like a screenwriting online class that starts Monday. So I'll keep
is this kind of a continuation from your summer studies?
Yeah, I'm going to keep working on what I was working on this summer, so I'll do that. And I'm slowly trying to get back into blogging and doing my blog post. I recently finished all the Friday the 13th movies, all 11 of them we did, my girlfriend and I, and I'm going to rank those, and that'll probably be my first blog post. So that's something I'm working on. So just a little bit of stuff here and there. But
the inaugural post of Adam's blog.
Yeah. I'm work's been a little bit busier, so it's been harder to do such things. But
I was clicking through some of the documents, and I stumbled upon that like worksheet where you were starting to list all the scenes for that play that you wrote a while ago for your class.
Do you remember that one? A couple of years ago. Yeah.
Just that project kind of died, I guess.
Well, it's hard. You have to really dedicate your time to things that you think have a future, and things that you actually like that you did. So there are things in the past that I've worked on that maybe I just will leave in the past. And
listen, you already have an audience of one. I enjoyed that story.
That's true. I mean, that was a 120-page script, but that will never see the light of day. So
what
too
a shame.
bad.
Maybe I'll buy the rights off of you.
Yeah, you can buy it. You're welcome to.
Ronnie Steele rights.
Jordan, we're not talking about Ronnie Steele. We're talking about Home Improvement. Specifically, what episode are we covering today?
The Eve of Construction will be episode 67.
Yeah.
So
I actually really like the song, the Barry Maguire song that the title is a play on. I don't know if you're familiar.
Can you sing it for me?
Don't you believe you're on the eve of destruction? The Eastern world, it is exploding. Violent man, bullets are old enough to kill, but not for voting. You don't believe in war, so what's that gun you're toting? Familiar?
No, but I do like your rendition.
Can you tell me over and over? I could go all day. I do like it, but I don't know all the words, which is true of even my
you know quite a few.
I'm most fond of, but I do like that song.
All right. Well, yeah, obviously based off of that song. This is kind of a new one. We've got 4 people who wrote this episode.
Was one of them John Elway? Did John Elway come in and write his own dialogue?
No, but they certainly made some scenes for him. Rosalind Moore, Howard J. Morris, Elliot Schuenman, and Marley Sims teamed up for this blockbuster here.
Kind of a who's who of Home Improvement writers.
Yeah, kind of the All-Stars, the Home Improvement All-Stars. So this episode aired March 9th, 1994, and plot keywords. I just want to read these 3 plot keywords I picked out just because it sounds like a very interesting thriller, maybe. Locket, rivalry, and deception.
It makes it sound entirely more high stakes than it actually is.
Yeah, it's not at all reflecting that, but we've got our own alternative titles, just like we do every other week. Adam, how many do you have this week?
Just 6. I don't know how it happened. I didn't come up with them until we had to delay today because I hadn't watched the episode until this morning, and I like to watch it twice. So I watched it twice this morning, and I don't know, just
they were
the last
just
half
flowing.
hour, they just really flew out of my mind.
We won't spend time on Ronnie Steele, but we will spend time thinking up 6 different alternative titles to an episode of Home Improvement.
Of varying quality.
Varying quality. Well, I only have 3 because I usually stop once I get to 3.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
That's one way to put it. I'll let you do 2, and then I'll do 1, and then you do 2, and I'll do...
All right. Okay. First one, so the episode is called The Eve of Construction. My first one is Go to Hellway.
Nice. I like that.
Oh, I gotta do another one.
Back-to-back jacks.
Okay. This is the bad one. 1-800-DOO-DOO.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yep.
Like the Elway one better. All right. You 1 for 2 is not bad. Like in baseball, you're pretty good. All right, so first one is Habitat for Insanity.
All right, I'll do mine. Habitat for Humanity. Humanity. You get what I'm trying to do. It's just hard to say.
Yeah, it's not a word, that's for sure.
Humanity. Yeah.
All right, go again.
Battle of the Sexes.
Simple but satisfying.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna sing this one. Welcome to Al's house.
That's good. Yep, I like that. Donut know how to build a house.
Jeez. You like to do that a lot, where you take this word and split it in half, and it shouldn't be, and
it's working.
Yeah,
Obviously working. Yeah.
Go ahead, one more.
My last one. Okay. An embarrassment of cameos.
That's good and spot on.
That was the last one I came up with. So yeah,
I like it. All right, my last one is jewelry foolery.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a quality over quantity thing. So I won't say which is which or who is who, but yeah, Solid work all around. I mean,
9 has to be a record for like total number of alternative titles.
I maybe need to tone it down. I need to make some, like 1-800-Doo-Doo probably didn't need to make
yeah,
final
you might
episode,
need to make some cuts.
It's all right, whatever. Lessons learned.
Lessons learned. All right.
Eve of Construction's a pretty good title, though.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. All right, so plot synopsis time, and Skagary66 gives us this plot.
Jeez, Skagary's got. I mean, as usual, this will come out after Halloween, but we're recording before, and you say Skagary to me, and I get a little spooked.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be a giggly episode, I can tell. All right. Tim agrees to build a house for Habitat for Humanity on his show.
Skagary wishes he could come up with that.
Yeah, I know. With famous athletes helping out, but Al and Jill challenge him by agreeing to lead a separate team made up of women to see who can build a house faster. Al's on that separate team, right? Not just women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Women and Al. Yeah.
Okay, good. Meanwhile, Brad doesn't know what to do after giving Ashley a locket he found, not telling her that it was lost by one of Jill's friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just any friend, Marie Morton.
Oh, a couple of juicy plot lines here.
I know.
So.
How are they going to be weaved together, or rather woven?
They won't be. Just don't worry about it.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Go ahead and start us off.
All right, so we're going to open on tool time. Tim is underneath a car. No, he didn't get run over. He is changing the oil. It talks about changing it every 3,000 miles. And Al then talks about cleaning their tools after you're done. And they have a special... They do that thing where they're advertising a Binford product here. So they're advertising a Binford solvent to clean these tools. You leave them there overnight. And Tim says, but what if you get that 3 a.m. hankering for cleaning? And Al says, well, then you can call 1-800-CUCKOO, which is where Adam's great title of 1-800-Doo-Doo comes from.
Yeah, same
diff.
Yeah.
Yeah, same difference. So Tim, he says, overnight is too long. I've come up with a new concoction that works faster for your engine parts. He puts a piston in there, in this little bucket full of this new concoction.
Was it Lindsay Hunter?
Oh. No. I wasn't expecting that. Detroit piston jokes. All right. No Lindsay Hunter, but just a regular piston from a car. And he does smoke. Mm-hmm. It starts smoking. It's dissolving. It's too powerful. Another thing gone wrong for Tim. But they don't dwell on it, They just kind of move on. And before they sign off, they're going to start previewing some new stuff going on, including an upcoming Habitat for Humanity show. And before I talk about the show too much, can we talk about the poster board that's behind them? They walk over to this poster board.
I honestly don't remember it, but I'd love to hear more about it.
So they walk over to this poster board behind them. It's not quite as awesome as the fake background that they used for the snowmobiles back a couple seasons ago.
The green screen. Yeah.
The green screen. No, it's literally just a very drab piece of poster board. It has a bunch of pictures that look like they could be construed for construction sites. I'm not sure. And then there's 2 NFL logos on each side of it. It's very strange.
I definitely didn't notice that. Yeah.
It looks like something a middle schooler made. Very haphazard. But yeah, they're standing in front of that. They're talking a little bit about this upcoming show where they're going to be building houses. There's going to be lots of celebrities there. John Elway, Jimmy Carter is involved. There's going to be some Lions players.
Well, it's Jimmy Carter's favorite charity.
It's his favorite charity. He's running this thing. Evander Holyfield's going to be there. They're going to build a house in just 3 days, even though Tim thinks he can do it in just one.
This is my beef. Maybe you could build a house in 3 days if you had a huge construction crew and they were working 24 hours, but they're only as far as I can tell, they're only working they might probably not even working 9 to 5, and they both teams of 6 or 7 people managed to finish this house. I really don't think that was possible.
I hope Jill got some time for work off so she can work on this.
Yeah, 3 days is crazy.
I don't know. If you can, I've never built a house. I've never really built anything that has stood.
Just to clarify, you have not built a house before. That was something I wanted to ask you, but I guess that was going to be my question. That was going to be my question of the week, but I'll put it off.
It would have been very boring.
I just think it's it'd be one thing to build the exterior or make have the siding and windows and everything the outside of the house, but I'm under the impression that they have the plumbing and electricity, the whole house is done in 3 days. I'm calling Well, you know what I'm thinking. I don't buy it.
You're calling horse manure.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, there's people over in this like townhouse complex that I'm in right now. They're building several new ones, and they're taking a lot longer than 3 days to build theirs. I mean, and I think they're doing it pretty fast.
In their defense, though, they don't have like Kelvin Pritchett to help. So
they don't have Miss America, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim is kind of already turning this into a competition. He's going to build it faster than Al is. Al says it's not a competition. And we're going to be confused the rest of the episode because it really seems like a competition.
Yeah, yep. That sure does. Next scene. And I'll be honest, Jordan, my notes are scarce, so you fill in the blanks where I am lacking.
All right.
We find out this is where, as Skagari helpfully hinted out in the
66,
synopsis,
not 65. Make 60, sure you... Yeah.
Skagari, 66. Brad found a locket in an alley, is that right?
Yeah, I'm wondering is this a bowling alley or like he went to downtown Detroit?
Yeah, no, probably found more than a locket. He found a locket in an alley, and he gave it to Ashley as a birthday gift. He was going to get her reflectors for her bike, presumably, but he thinks he's going to give it to her, and she's going to like it, presumably, I guess.
Be careful with what he's given to her.
Yeah.
I guess that Jell-O fight got over with pretty quick, because Ashley, I mean...
Or maybe this is like,
he's making up for it?
Yeah, guys, they feel guilty about things they buy women jewelry. That's kind of what Brad is perhaps trying. But never mind that, because Tim comes home with barbecue from Bits O' Pig.
Oh, wait, before you do this.
Yeah.
Brad comes in, he hands it to Randy, and Randy inspects the locket, and he says, it looks like real gold. Like he's... like he would know, he's a jeweler.
Randy's moonlighting as a pawn. He's a pawn star.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you should bite it. That's what you do. You gotta bite it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Back to Bits O' Pig, though.
Tim comes in with Bits O' Pig, which is just like a funny name. I don't know that it serves anything other than that, but
it seems like the people in the house aren't happy about this. Like,
yeah,
I would love
psyched.
barbecue.
Yeah.
What's going on? Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I think I hear a washer and dryer now.
Well, I asked you before we started recording if you could hear it, and now no, we have to stop.
Seems like the locket maybe is stuck in that washer and dryer.
There's a locket in my pocket. I'll just turn it off, and then Jill reveals that she and Marie watched Tool Time today because there was nothing else on, and she found out about the Habitat for Humanity project they're doing, and Jill says that she would like to help. She thinks it's a good charity, and she wants to help Tim. She wants to work with Tim, and they can kind of get things done together. Tim immediately says no. He thinks it's a bad idea, that they won't get along. It's heavily insinuated that he doesn't think women are able to do this kind of job, and that's essentially where the scene ends. It's heavily insinuated throughout the whole episode.
Yeah, he learned, he read in a magazine called Husband and Wives Shouldn't Work Together magazine.
I just didn't even write that. Those bits are so bad. I just didn't even bother writing those down.
It reminded me a little bit of that episode where they come up with those compatibility quizzes and they make up names to magazines and stuff.
Yeah, these writers on Home Improvement, they just love that kind of humor. Fake magazine name title humor. It's a very specific subgenre.
Yeah. Have you and your girlfriend worked on any projects together? Spent some time in the trenches working?
I'm trying to think what I feel like every time we've moved, we moved into this place, so we spent a lot of time getting things situated and stuff, and that was kind of one big project. In terms of putting things together, we bought a really lousy bookshelf from Walmart right when we first moved in, and I tried to put it together and couldn't really do it because it just was it was very poorly made, and even when we finally put it, we did work on it together, and we finally got it put together, and it was just so shoddy, and it just kind of leaned to the right. So
it wasn't an IKEA bookshelf.
No, it was from Walmart, and that is very representative of you get what you pay for, I would say, and that will be the last Walmart bookshelf I buy. It just looked good in the store, but other than that, no, I can't think of any real mechanical stuff. We do, no real projects in terms of.
But you guys survived.
DIY.
You guys did okay.
Yeah.
You weren't at each other's throats.
No. And if anything, she'd be more capable in terms of doing those kind of technical, mechanical things than I would. So perhaps she would be telling me that she doesn't want to work with me because I'm just ill-equipped.
She was really on the other foot for you there.
Oh, so true, Jordan. So true.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so apprehensive that he wants to work with Jill. I don't know that there's been any indication, I guess, early in the season where they worked on things together and it's really gone bad. But
I mean, I guess I get like why he would maybe think that they would bicker or fight, but it's probably not a good enough reason to just say no. You know?
Yeah, you're kind of focused on this thing for charity. I don't know that you're going to be really picking at each other.
Except none of them really are focused on the
not
fact
even
that
Jill
it's
later
charity.
on, which makes it sad for me. But
Really, really sad. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to go to the work site where the show will be on what?
It's an embarrassment of cameos. You know?
It is an embarrassment of cameos. The show is on location. They've started showing a project that was already in place a little bit. Kind of give the audience an idea of what it's going to look like. And then they start to introduce the teams. And Tim has quite the team. He's got John Elway. He's got an Oilers player, a Jets player, an Eagles player.
Well, Jordan, let's give them their due diligence.
Sure.
John Elway, John Jones, Bill Backle, Ken O'Brien, and eventually he has Evander Holyfield and Kelvin Pritchett arriving. So Tim's really stacked the deck in this regard.
He has. He also has
Eric Hipple, correct?
Yeah, Eric Hipple, I was going to say.
So
you know what I noticed?
All football players with the exception of Holyfield.
Yeah, and they're all giant. Like sometimes when you watch football, you don't realize how big these people are just because you're not standing next to them, or Tim is dwarfed by all of these people.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm going to do a couple of bios here in a second, but like. Even Elway looks huge. Like Elway looks so like bulky.
He looks like he's
bulky.
6'6", and
yeah, he looks very bulky. He looks closer to like a linebacker than a quarterback in this. And I mean the rest of them, I don't know the specifics. Like I don't know John Jones or Bill Backle, but like these are big guys. This is also an era where like I think NFL players are maybe not feeling like they need to be as big now, like in terms of like you don't have defensive linemen that weigh 350 pounds like you would have like a more of a quicker D lineman that might weigh like 260, 270 like an Ndamukong Suh. But I think this was an era where guys were just bigger, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean,
you don't need to. It's absolutely right. So you don't necessarily need to know.
That's true. You don't need to hear my opinion.
Yeah. In terms of bios, John Elway is probably until we get to Jimmy Carter. John Elway is the crown jewel of this episode, I would say. Not necessarily his performance, but just in terms of like a get. So just a little bio on John Elway. Number 1 overall pick, 1983 draft, out of Stanford. Almost played professional baseball for the Yankees. Kind of held do you know about this? How he the Colts wanted to take him, but like he said that if the Colts drafted him, he would go to the Yankees. So it was kind of a shyster.
Eli Manning's type
like
of thing.
That. Yeah, a lot like that. He's as a player 2-time Super Bowl champion, 1998, 1999. So at this time, he had not yet won a Super Bowl. He played in 4 Super Bowls total, 9-time Pro Bowler, most valuable player. 1987, tons and tons of records, regarded as being probably one of the 10 best quarterbacks of all time, kind of known for his 2-minute drill, his ability to come back in games. And now he's kind of a successful general manager for the very same team he played for his entire career, the Denver Broncos, and he helped them, made transactions that led to the Super Bowl 50 championship.
Yeah, it's interesting to see him in this because, a lot of times you see him now, and he's a little bit older as a GM and stuff, and here he's very youthful. Very happy and smiley. Yeah, he's
happy to be there.
He sure is. Except for when Tim's late later. But
yeah, that's true.
Did you notice also that instead of name tags, they have pieces of masking tape on them with their name written?
That
in
was
pen?
I wonder if that is I wonder if that's what people do on a job site. I'm not sure, but I did notice the little Tim. I wish it would have said Timbo.
Yeah, what a missed opportunity there.
I know, they blew it. I'll just go through Holyfield. So we had George Foreman last season, I believe.
Yep.
So this is our second boxing champion,
heavyweight.
I would say. Yeah. So Evander Holyfield, also known as the Real Deal or the Warrior. His boxing record is 44-10. He was a 1984 Los Angeles Olympian, light heavyweight champion at the Pan American Games. In terms of holding the title, let me find it here. I should have read this before.
He might be most famous for losing an ear, which is a shame. But.
He's the only 4-time world heavyweight champion, holding the WBA, WBC, IBF, and Lineal titles from 1990 1992. But yeah, you're right. Most renowned for fighting Mike Tyson and having Tyson take a chunk out of his ear, which was his right ear, and I'm looking at the picture, and it still shows a little. That was a little chunk missing, so that was quite a thing. I remember when that happened. Boy, Tyson was off the rails.
Yeah, and the references to that have never stopped, really.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Evergreen content, you know.
Oh man, we should just be talking about that. Episodes will never die. I'll talk about Eric Hipple a little later on. I think we're getting bogged down in bios. So
that's true.
So on?
I'm gonna introduce Al's team. So in contrast, Al has all women on his team. So he's got Jill. He's got the reigning Miss America at the time. A couple of Habitat for Humanity employees. One that was, I think it was Gwen number 1, who's been there for 10 years.
What's the point in them having 2 Gwens? Like, is that a joke, or like, why don't they just change their names? It's kind of confusing.
I don't know, but there is. I mean, it's authentic, you know. Sometimes you have people with the same names.
I meet tons of Gwens are out and about.
But when you meet one, you always meet 2.
That's true. That's
the weird
Gwens.
thing. The other Gwen number 2, is an electrician, and then there is a plumber there as well. So
you must be talking about Denise.
I'm talking about Denise.
I thought I didn't take good notes, but it seems like mine are a little more thorough than yours.
Yeah, I did not write down Denise's name. But yeah, Al has a much more practical team, maybe with the exception of Miss America and Jill.
I like it when Tim goes over and kind of flirts with Miss America.
Yeah, he's asking her if the crown's underneath her hat.
Yeah, and then she's kind of into it. She's like, yeah, but I'm wearing my evening gown underneath my overalls. And that's when Tim says, let me see. No, he doesn't. I'm just kidding.
Actually, Tim looks impressed that she's doing that.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. So, that's the teams. They're set up, and they kind of move later on. There's John and then Eric Hipple there. They're looking at these blueprints, trying to get set up for the show here and start building. Tim makes a joke that he doesn't recognize Eric Hipple because he's not flat on his back, which is...
Yeah, that's a good segue. I didn't know who Eric Hipple was, did you?
I didn't either, yeah.
Yeah, he's a former Detroit Lion from 1980 to 1989. Fourth round pick out of Utah State. Not a remarkable NFL career, but a couple of interesting things about his life afterwards. So a little bit more serious than usual, but as a result of his son's suicide in 2000, his son was 15... he now travels the country and gives speeches to high schools talking about mental illness and suicide prevention, because apparently he also struggled with mental illness as well. He wrote a book called Real Men Do Cry, which talks about his bouts of depression. And then this is on Wikipedia, and then take it with a grain of salt. But apparently in 2005, he disarmed a man wielding a knife at a 2005 party in Michigan. He may have saved several lives as a result, according to the police. So this guy may not have had a great NFL career, but he's definitely done some great things.
Shout out to Eric Hipple.
Yeah, wanted to get that out there. So, yeah.
All right, so yeah, he doesn't recognize him. Tim does not want to follow the blueprint where John says, "Let's stick to the plan." And Tim tries to equate it to, football. That's what he's going to do for a lot of this episode. And then they just kind of move over to Evander Holyfield. And
it's very awkward. This whole section is very awkward because...
I have some thoughts why.
They're both it's never clear. Well, it is occasionally clear, but not clear enough whether or not this is tool time, on the air. And when they're doing that, they're doing the video camera, or whether it's just the show... outside of tool time. Yeah, is this between takes? Are they recording this? And it's just I think it's very awkward. Everything is not I don't know if things are staged enough. It seems like these guys don't know where to stand and be, and there's just way too many of them. There's nine athletes.
They're trying to put all these jokes in here, but there's also no studio audience to laugh, so they're just kind of lingering a little bit on them, and they're not
very
sure.
Awkward, yeah.
And they don't really cut it necessarily to be a lot quicker, joke and then laugh and then
it's like the Blair Witch Project or something, where it's just video there's no cuts. I don't know if they these are continuous takes or whatever, but it just kind of feels like the camera is just following Tim around as he goes from I'm going to talk to John Elway, no, I'm going to talk to Holyfield, no, I'm going to talk to Hipple, and it's bad joke, bad joke, bad joke. The athletes get kind of mad and threaten Tim, and then he says something about their flannel shirts or something.
Yeah, he talks about how nice their clothing. And I was gonna say that once after he threatens people, it's kind of like the Blair Witch Project for Tim, because he's so scared of these people.
He's so scared. This is also based on a true story, much like the Blair Witch Project. No, it's. I mean,
you said it was based on a true story. I mean, maybe for this episode, it all was this Habitat for Humanity thing, and they just turned it into an episode of Home Improvement because they had all these people together. They're going to build houses. They probably just really built houses here. I would
Do you
think.
think? Oh, really?
I think this is a real Habitat for Humanity thing, and then they turned it into an episode of Home Improvement.
I really kind of doubt that. I don't have any reasoning other than like I just don't know why they like what would lead to that being the case. Like, did the Habitat for Humanity reach out to Home Improvement or vice versa?
I mean, they probably just had several different people putting. I don't know who.
I bet that Elway and Holyfield work for Habitat for Humanity, but I don't think that this is like a real job site or anything.
No, but I think oftentimes they do for like charity. They try to get people to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
But
so they'll get celebrities to do
You're
it.
saying that you think that like Habitat for Humanity really built these houses?
I mean, they look like real houses when they go in them.
Yeah, but like they could just be like it's like a set, you know?
It could be. It could be. I think at some point these people were actually building houses, and that's what led to the episode.
This sounds like a poll. And I'd be curious to hear what other people think because I am not necessarily
You're dubious.
agreeing, but I'm dubious. But I also just like I think that why couldn't they have just had like 3 athletes? It's way too many.
That's why I think it was a real thing. Like they just had so many people, and they probably were actually doing it for charity. And I don't know.
All right.
Well,
anyways, we get basically there's dissent among the stack team, and it's just not working out. These guys they're not especially good at
they're strong, but they're not used
strong.
to building houses.
They can bench press a house, but they can't necessarily build one, Jordan.
Yeah,
they're kind of goofing around as well. Like they're eating a lot. Holyfield's eating donuts, and they're just kind of talking and
there's
drawing
nothing more
things
goofy than eating donuts.
I mean, Holyfield, like he just loves donuts. Apparently, it's a real gag here.
Don't we all?
And I do love donuts. And we get a montage of of the two teams. Like we get I don't know the song that's playing necessarily, but it's like kind of like happy, jazzy kind of stuff. And like Jill's team, or Al's team rather, is really doing well, and they're working together, and it's very, very happy. And then the opposite, they show Tim's team, and things are just going wrong across the board. And
well, yeah, I mean, at one point, I think it's Eric Hipple is like drawing a play up in some wet cement.
It's as if these guys, these professional athletes, 40-year-old men, 35-year-old men, are children, But
yeah, and then you see like they're trying to put in windows in the house, and they drop them, and they hit the ground or whatever.
I feel bad for the family that you think moved into this house because it really didn't turn out too well.
Especially when they look like right next door across this fence, and they see this
and they got to see Eric Hipple's drawings in the cement.
Oh man, yeah, right. I do. I agree.
Next scene. Yeah.
Long scene. Next scene. At home, Brad is there with Ashley. They are intently staring. Or no, this is after Brad gave Ashley the locket. I'm sorry, I was skipping ahead there.
Yeah.
So again, Brad is sharing with Randy. I don't know why. Maybe they miss each other because they're not in the same room anymore. But Randy is just reading some sort of magazine, and Brad comes down and says she loved it. Girls are really easy. You just need to find jewelry in the street. So I guess I should take that advice. I don't really know. Jill and Tim.
Well, when's the last time have you been down an alley lately?
It's been a while.
Okay, well that's where you got to go. So
you just got to look on the alley. I mean, my mom told me to stay out of alleys.
Yeah, they are kind of dangerous, but that's like maybe it's high
risk comes
high
reward.
Risk, high reward kind of scenario.
Stupid. All right, so Jill and Tim come home, and she's awfully cocky. Tim's team is way behind. Mark laughs. I think this might be his only line in the episode. He's sitting there playing a Game Boy, and he says, "You're losing to girls."
Oh man, Mark would be losing to girls in everything.
Mark would lose
to
any
life of the show. Yeah.
Mark would lose to a sock.
Mark doesn't get to make that joke.
Yeah, exactly. But they needed a line for him, so they do. Tim calls his team a bunch of lightweight wimps, which we're supposed to think is funny because they're all these giant humans.
Right.
And goes upstairs. Marie then knocks on the door. I know what you're thinking. She's going to be knocking at the front door. No, she's at the side yard for some reason. So she comes in through the side yard. Turns out she lost her locket. It was a gift from her grandma. And Jill's like, you know what? We'll have the boys look for you. They can find anything. And Randy chuckles and says, I know Brad can.
Those boys are really trustworthy, and they've shown that over the last 3 seasons, so good thinking, Jill.
Jeez. Yeah, they're gonna find this jewelry. I don't know how, but at least there's no snow on the ground,
Yeah, I agree. Jordan, you noted at the beginning of the scene that Randy was reading a magazine. Is that what you said?
He was. It looked like a Sports Illustrated for kids or something.
There are lots of things you can read, but there's also the option of listening to things, Jordan. Do you know anything about that?
I do know something about that. We actually have a sponsor in Audible, and they are probably the best place on earth to listen to things, especially audiobooks. They have over 180,000 titles. You said you were doing some listening yourself. What are you listening to?
Jordan, I did. I downloaded Audible. It's a very sleek app. It tells me how long it's going to take me to listen to the book, and it pauses things automatically, and I get badges if I read. I don't really care about the badges so much, but
I thought you loved badges.
It's good to be praised regardless, and if it's Audible, I'll take it. I am currently listening to Stephen King's Under the Dome. For years, I've thought to myself, well, do I want to read a 1,000-page book about a dome going over a town? And I ultimately decided that I didn't. But you know what? I thought I could listen to it. And that might be better. So I've been listening to it. I'm about 7 hours into it. I listen to it in my commutes. I listen to it as I'm lounging at home. And it's very, very easy to use. I'm very much enjoying it. The narrator is doing a fantastic job. And I'd recommend that you all try it as well.
Wow. Yeah, so if you want to get in on the action just like Adam, you get a free audiobook download and a 30-day trial, and you can do so at a special URL. So make sure you go to audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast to start your trial today.
All right, back to the episode, Jordan.
Back to the episode. Later, I guess we're later at home now after we saw...
Yeah, I think some time has passed, yes.
Some time has passed. Tim is on the phone with Elway, so they're very... close at this point, I guess. They're doing some communication.
Tim has John Elway's number, you have Richard Karn's number.
It's very similar.
Similar relationship.
I can't tell you how many times Richard and I have talked, and I'm criticizing him over the way that he's doing something. So
we've been in almost constant contact with Richard since the interview. It's been like weekly. He gives us show notes, and
it's
basically
really nice
begs to come back on our show, and I think eventually we'll probably let him.
Someday. Yeah. Elway wants to be traded from to Al's team. And Tim says no. And then they hang up. Jill comes down. Tim is trying to motivate his team, basically. That's what he says to Jill. He's trying to get them back so that they're not so far behind. Tim says you can be... then Tim says, or Jill says, you had your chance to have me on your team, basically. So he missed his chance. Tim says, well, I mean, if you want to be on my team tomorrow, that's fine, and you can bring your electrician and some other people. So he knows at this point he's got no chance, and he's trying to make up for it. Tim then tries to blame this on Jill and says that she's making everything into a competition, and as this is happening, they're both stirring their tea in a competitive fashion.
I
can't tell you.
I wonder what they were... how do you win that competition?
I don't know. I guess who
doesn't spell?
Brewed the fastest?
Yeah. Who steeps first,
That's what I'm wondering.
Who's on first? Carry on.
Oh, yeah. So, Tim then goes on to say, he sees everyone equal, which is kind of a joke. Then Jill leaves, and Brad comes down to chat with his dad, and he tries to give him the gist of what's going on. Tells the story about how he found the locket in the alley. Some
good line deliveries here by Tim.
Yeah. Tim, at first, it seems like he's going to yell.
Yeah.
And he says, you know what? I've been there.
It's funny. I thought it was funny because it's such a specific thing that Brad goes through his whole thing. I found a locket and I gave it to somebody, and Tim says, been there. It's a good bit.
It's good. And then he also gives some good advice. He says, you have to tell the truth because women will see right through you and they'll make you pay. And how does Tim know? Oh, he's paid.
It's a lot like the Will Smith concussion movie in that he wants Brad to tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Did you see that movie?
Nah, but it's
but you did see the commercials because
saw the trailer a lot. Yeah, tell the truth.
I don't think it did that well.
No. Turns out people would rather watch football than a movie about concussions in football. Weird.
Strange. All right. I'll let you take the next scene.
Oh, that's nice of you, Jordan. Maybe a mistake.
Set your coffee down.
Maybe a mistake, but I'll try it. All right, so we're back at the job site. Things aren't going well, and my first note is I don't necessarily remember how we get to this, but there's this guy up on a ladder that so Tim comes back with a new fan. I'm remembering
a giant exhaust fan.
A giant exhaust fan, and Elway is like, you don't need that fan, and they're like, we can't succeed because you're out buying things. And then Tim says to this guy on a ladder, we needed this, didn't we, Howard? And then Howard looks down, and it's supposed to be am I supposed to know who Howard is? This guy gets a name, and he's got a real thick Brooklyn accent, and he's like, no, we don't need this thing, Tim. And I thought, that's weird. Who's Howard? What's his deal? What are your thoughts on Howard?
I was wondering myself. I was like, were we introduced to Howard before?
Like, is this guy play for the Yankees or?
And I knew he wasn't a football player or anything because he has one of the better line deliveries.
5'5", 150. So.
And he needs a ladder. Everyone else wouldn't need a ladder on that crew. But he also has a much smoother line delivery than a lot of the celebrities in this episode.
He's not an athlete, but I wouldn't. Based on his line delivery, I don't know that I'd call him an actor either.
He's an enigma.
I don't know what he is. He's enigmatic. Yeah. Well, I think he goes about 5'5", 150. So he's a little fella.
Yeah.
5'5". Tim is he's put off by Howard in the same way I kind of was. He walks over to the fence. They're conveniently building a fence between the two places, or it's convenient because Jordan. Who's behind that fence?
Well, who loves fences more than anyone, and who's an expert on fences, and who could put up a fence is Wilson.
Wilson W. Wilson. He's helping Jill's team, and Tim says, "Why didn't you help me? We could use the help." And Wilson says, "It's a charity. I think we're all on the same team." Well,
boy, is he right!
That's where Tim disagrees.
Well, I think that's where Jill disagrees. To be honest,
everybody disagrees.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
There's some advice. I don't have a lot to say about it.
All right. Well, he quotes
Immanuel Kant, and he says,
speaks German.
Yeah, some German, which is lost on Tim and presumably
everyone
lost on a lot of the audience. And he says, generosity is generosity of the spirit. Essentially, that's what I wrote down. It's like
the important part of generosity is generosity of the spirit, or something like that.
That's not a very good quote, really. Like. Anytime you have to repeat the word twice, I don't know if it's that effective.
You get the idea.
Generosity is the generosity of the spirit, and that's generosity.
I think you're maybe butchering the quote, but that's okay.
I'm just saying, you say generosity one more time, Wilson, maybe you'll really drive the point home.
I think he's onto something, though.
Whatever. Jill chastises Wilson for wasting time at the fence, and she scolds him and tells him to go over there, and Tim says, maybe you should tell her. And he does tell her, and that's the end of the scene. You can see why we maybe didn't play a clip.
He tells her in German.
Yeah, he did. I'm not sure if it would have gone over much better in English, frankly.
Yeah, it's a very short Wilson scene. A different Wilson scene. I think, good advice that falls on deaf ears on both sides of the fence.
It's falling on deaf ears in the side of the fence as well. Frankly,
sounds like it was falling on
this whole episode is.
All right, at home, Brad is with Ashley.
This is a great scene.
Brad and Ashley are staring at the TV, watching maybe MTV or something. She's got the locket on, so
should be
really
listening to an audiobook.
Yeah, that's what they should have been. One earphone in each other's ears. That would have been romantic.
Cute, yeah. Brad's always been sensitive.
Yeah, he is, and we'll see that a little bit later. Brad says, I know you like the locket, but I think I could take it back and get something nicer, like a bicycle reflector, and she's not really into that. And then, really, all chaos breaks loose for Brad. Jill comes home, and Ashley stands up to show Jill the locket, and Brad breaks into a hug to stop her. And like you said, Brad is the sensitive one, and that's what Ashley says, and that's what Jill agrees. Jill is still gloating about this whole Habitat for Humanity thing. Brad says, things are getting a little too risky right now. It's time to take Ashley home. So he starts to walk her out to the front door. Marie, instead of using the side door this time, comes to the front door, and she's at the door, knocks on it. Brad opens the door and slams it in her face because he's panicking, and sends Ashley out to the side.
This scene has a real Three's Company vibe to it. This is like every episode of Three's Company. Just a lot of people coming at bad times, and it's
trying
chaotic.
to escape.
Yeah, trying to escape. People are lying to one another, and
it's the opposite of a plan coming together.
Oh, the exact opposite, which is why I didn't like it.
Yeah, Marie has some flyers though for her locket. Like it's a cat.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, is it a lost dog? Like, what do you think you're gonna get out of this?
Oh man. And then Ashley comes in from the side yard at this point, and it seems like the locket broke. The chain on the locket broke. Tim says he can fix it.
Tim, I guess this didn't make sense to me at first, but I guess Tim didn't know that Brad was talking about a locket the whole episode.
Yeah, he was being very veiled. I don't think anyone really knows that Ashley got this locket yet.
Okay.
Except for Randy, because
he knew it was real gold.
Yeah, he knew it was real gold. They didn't notice right away, but Tim Jill, Tim, Marie.
Come again? Are you having an aneurysm? What's going on?
It's very confusing right now, but everyone's in this kitchen scene right now. We've got Marie, we've got Tim, we've got Jill, we've got Brad, and we've got Ashley. Yeah. Ashley is adamant that this locket is hers, but Marie recognizes it right away as hers, and Tim knows something's up here. And somebody didn't tell the truth.
I was hoping that Ashley and Marie were going to start roughing each other up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So Ashley kind of took it pretty well. She's like, oh, I guess it isn't mine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would have put up a little bit more of a fight. You don't even know who this Marie woman is. All you know is that she's putting up flyers like she's lost a freaking
It's real
Doberman
gold, too.
Pinscher.
I mean, it's valuable.
Yeah, there's some value in that. Yeah, I mean, family heirlooms, we've talked about those ad nauseum, but
I wish they would have showed a picture of that sweet
flyer. Done on like 1994 Microsoft, just block lettering, lost locket, reward.
It's word art.
Can't the meat man buy her a new locket? I guess not, that her grandma owned.
The meat man's busy on the West Wing.
That was funny. All of the meat man's talking to the president in the Oval Office wearing these big round glasses, and I'm like,
wait a minute.
Wait a second. Joe Morton?
The meat business really took off.
I didn't. Yeah, it was weird. He wasn't playing the meat man, but
it was very confusing for you.
Yeah, it was confusing.
So Brad's gonna have to own up here, and we don't really see that happening, but we do know it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And they go back on site because it's time for the final inspection, and they have an inspector there who's going to check out both homes. They do Al's house first. We don't really see him go into the house. We just kind of see the end of it, and Al's results are they built a perfect house, so that's pretty good. And then Tim's like, all right, we got to go look at our house, and he says that the inspectors are often generous. They don't want to be mean, so he's trying to say that his house is going to be better, and he brings Elway with him because Elway's up for glory, and Elway obliges. He's like, sure, I'll join. It starts out pretty rough. The doorknob falls off. And this was Elway's department. They've made some extra improvements. They got rid of the blueprints in some spaces. And there's a lot of things going wrong with this house. The water doesn't work. There's no coverings over like the light switches. Mm-hmm. It's shoddy workmanship. And to top it all off, Tim wants to try this exhaust fan that they installed. Yeah. And they turn on the exhaust fan. The inspector's hat goes up. It's freaking hilarious.
I guess you could say that team really dropped the ball. Real sack for Tim and the gang, huh?
Jeez. I'd say they fumbled the ball that way.
Yeah, 4th and... No.
Down goes Timmy.
Down goes... Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's
so dumb.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so it didn't go well. But luckily...
It's all right. There's more.
There's one clip to save the whole episode. And,
yeah. If you thought that maybe there was never going to be a former president on Home Improvement, you're wrong, because this episode features. Shockingly, I couldn't believe it when he came on the show. Not that I don't know. I mean, he's just like you have a former president on Home Improvement. It really. I don't know, maybe it feels strange above all else. It was just kind of weird. But we have a clip here with none other than Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. We're going to play the clip.
Yeah, let's play that.
Jill, guess what I got?
A video from President Carter.
Good guess.
His office called to see if we got it.
Well, we did? This is great. It says thank you or something. Let's watch.
Hi, Tim, Al, and Jill. I'd like to thank you for your participation in our Habitat for Humanity housing blitz.
You're welcome.
Al and Jill, the house you built is a perfect example of what can happen when caring people band together for a common goal. And Tim, what can I say? Crews are working round the clock to repair the house you built. Oh, yeah, Rosa would like a picture of Al.
Let's tape over this.
All right, so as we mentioned, Jimmy Carter's favorite charity is Habitat for Humanity. So as a way of thanking Home Improvement, rather Tool Time, he has sent a VHS tape that I guess they're probably going to eventually play on the show, but Tim wants to preview it first. So they pop it in the old tape player, and he's thanking Al and Jill for their effort. And, he says to Tim, maybe you didn't do so well. And then he notes at the end that his wife, Rosa, wants a picture of Al. So much like everybody, the former president's wife is a fan of Al. I don't know how Jimmy Carter or Rosa know about Tool Time, but they do.
Jimmy Carter's acting here is better than anyone else's in this show.
He's better than any of the athletes, yeah.
Absolutely.
He probably thought it was actually a real thing. Like, he didn't know it was for a TV show. Honestly, hey, I'm just a peanut farmer. Hey, fella, it's me. Rosa loves Al.
Jimmy Carter had a tough time in office until this moment.
Yeah.
He's not the president at this time, but it really skyrocketed his approval in any sort of polls. It wasn't all of his charity work; it was this appearance.
He's with what's been happening to George H.W. Bush in the news lately, Jimmy Carter is the oldest, most beloved living president. So,
yeah, he does a good job here, though.
Yeah, he's good.
Then there's an outtake, more of the exhaust fan / hat gag that we all know and love, and that is episode 67.
Roll credits, fade to black.
Eve of Construction.
Eve of Construction. Yeah.
Whew. Wow. All right. Highs and lows. I guess I can go first.
Yeah, why don't you? I'm looking up some Jimmy Carter stuff, so
you might as well. Yeah, highs for me. Favorite part of the episode was Jimmy Carter for me. I think his deadpan was spot on.
I mean, it was just so shocking that he was there.
Then he put in a good performance too. So
it's crazy that. It's just insane that Jimmy Carter is in an episode of Home Improvement. I can't believe it.
We talk a lot about how the cold opens sometimes are not really relevant and not very good. At least this time they do segue into what the show is going to be about. So I did think that was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I did like that Randy knew exactly that the locket was made out of gold, and he's got a future in that sort of business. And then Tim gives some good advice to his oldest son, so that was a nice moment too. Lows, just really, it's weird to me. I get that Jill should be very competitive and mad at Tim for this whole thing, but she really doesn't ever get any reality check that it is kind of like a charity thing.
It's kind of like they ran out of time. They're missing that scene.
Yeah, and I think that would have really done wonders for me as far as putting the episode up on another tier maybe. The Marie making flyers is ridiculous. I guess that's a con. I don't know. That's kind of a plus for me, just because I like those kind of jokes. When they're unintentional, I like that. But it's an okay episode. There is way too many guest stars in this episode, though, and they don't perform as well as some of the other guest stars that we've had. Even athletes that we've had before. Remember Isaiah Thomas and his corn bit?
Yeah, Isaiah's corn thing. That's like Gone with the Wind level acting. It's fantastic. It's enshrined in halls of fame across the country.
Yeah, Elway doesn't quite pull that off in this one, although, there's some good moments in there. So it's an okay episode for me. What do you think, Adam?
I think I wish they would have done the Jimmy Carter corn thing, or Jimmy Carter peanuts. I wish it would have been
Jimmy Carter corn peanuts?
And being like, hey, Jimmy, corn's ready. That'd been funny. But, highs and lows. It's crazy. There's so many athletes, and they just don't service any of them. There's 10, maybe 8, 9, 10 professional athletes, and I can't help but think it would have been better if they would have had maybe 2, and then maybe been able to sort of write some jokes or build something around those 2, because it's just like I said earlier, it's just moving Tim from situation to situation with these guys, and none of them are able to really sink their teeth in anything. They're not natural actors anyways, but they have to be able to be given something to do or some writing. All John Elway really does is kind of just stand next to Tim the whole episode. Maybe he's bad at acting, probably he is, but I don't really know because they don't give him anything. So they could have. I always love it when they have cameos on the show, but this was a case where like there was just way, way, way too many. And I mean, like, even like I wish that like maybe just like Elway and Jimmy Carter. I think that would have probably made for a better episode. I mean, High is obviously like Jimmy Carter. That was just hilarious to have him on. I don't know that his acting was as good as maybe you think it is, but I was happy to have him there. I don't know. I guess I should maybe let me focus more on lows before I jump to highs. But lows, yeah, just too many cameos, crazy. The Jill Tim thing, like it's I don't know, just like not really developed. I felt like they had like too much going on in this episode. Like you're right at the end, like they should have had a scene where like Jill realizes, or like they both have the realization that like, oh, we're doing this for charity. Like this is for the people. It's not about like a battle of the sexes or about like petty, home tiffs. The Marie stuff was, I mean, it was funny when she put up that signage, but ultimately very stupid. I wasn't as into the opening Tool Time bit as you were. Like, I appreciate that
I wasn't into it. I just liked that it actually segued into the episode.
Why don't you let me finish before you interrupt me? Thank you.
Well, you're trying to smear me in front of our whole audience here.
I didn't like. I mean, I appreciate that it like set things up or whatever, but it took a long time to get there. So like, I wish it would have just kind of been shorter. I would say. Highs, Jimmy Carter, fantastic. I actually thought the Brad Lockett stuff was kind of interesting. Like I could have seen them building an entire episode kind of around that, and that would have been maybe kind of interesting. But
I guess my only
it's okay.
problem with that was it was very similar to when they took the money from that like charity or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, just like Brad doing something kind of sleazy and then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of. Even the scene where like they all kind of are in the same room and it's the realization. Like I thought that was kind of interesting. Like maybe I don't know. It's like two episodes kind of smashed together for me. It's just like there's just way too much going on. There are some episodes where nothing happens. This episode, there's way too much happening.
Yeah. So that is episode 67, The Eve of Construction. And we'll move on to Sean's social media roundup. So if you want to reach out to us, you can do so. Our website is thehomeandpodcast.com. You can tweet at us at homeandpodcast is our Twitter handle. Facebook.com/homeandpodcast. If you'd like to support the show, I mean, by the time you hear this, the giveaway will be over, so you won't be able to enter for the giveaway, but you can still support the show for as little as $1 a month by going to patreon.com/homeandpodcast. For becoming a patron, you get really funny outtakes that we record and submit some behind-the-scenes stuff. And we're going to continue to add more and more stuff there. So definitely become a sponsor in that way, or you can just donate on the support tab on our website. So another way you can support us for free is just by leaving us a iTunes review. So, Adam, what's going on in the Twitterverse?
Twitterverse poll this last week. How old were you when you first got your cell phone? 16 total votes. The results are 6% of people don't have a cell phone, which is maybe higher than I would have thought. 13% were older than 20 when they first got their cell phone. 25% were under 15, so that would be you. And then 56% were in that 16 to 20 range, which is pretty logical, I would say. Other than that, yeah, not a lot on Twitter this week. Good interaction, a lot of likes, a lot of retweets from people, so we appreciate that. Oh, I did post a picture, or my girlfriend posted a picture of my pumpkin. So if you're interested in how my pumpkin turned out, it's there. I'm pretty proud of it. So
be careful, you're going to break Twitter.
I don't like break Twitter. It's like when Kim Kardashian broke the internet, Yeah. So if you like my pumpkin, let me know. If you don't, you just keep it to yourself. But follow us on Twitter, iTunes reviews, Patreon, all that great stuff.
All right, Adam, it is your turn for the question of the week.
Jordan, this week's episode features too many football players. Coincidentally, this week we're facing off in fantasy football.
Oh man,
your team is 6-1. My team is 2-5. I could really use the victory. We'll see what happens. But Jordan, I just want to know, who is your favorite NFL player of all time or right now? Either way.
Ooh. Oh boy, that's a tough question. I always have a hard time figuring out who my favorite is in a lot of different sports. There was a long time where I loved Peyton Manning. Wherever he went, whether it was the Colts or the Broncos, I really supported his team and liked him. Still like his commercials. Still think he's funny.
You're in luck because there's a lot of them.
I know, there are a lot. Even if, a couple years after he's retired, they still play him and everything. So he's still making money. I think as a Lions fan, you kind of are obligated to love Barry Sanders.
Right.
I wish I was a little bit older when he was playing so I could watch him be awesome. That would have been cool. But yeah, every clip that I see of him and anything that I remember, he's a pretty awesome guy. I can't really think of anybody else that would be like my number one. I don't really have any jerseys or anything in that realm. So who do you love besides me?
I mean, my favorite player, I guess this is pretty logical, but I think Matt Stafford's my favorite player in the NFL.
Sure.
He's been the Lions quarterback since I was like 18 or 19, so like the last like 10 years or so almost. I think he's really good. Face of the franchise, going to be around for a while. I just think he's exciting, good to watch, fun. So he's my favorite player. In terms of like non-Lions that I really like, he's my favorite player. I mean, there's a lot of guys like I enjoy watching Aaron Rodgers when, obviously like
when he's not playing the Lions.
Because when he's not playing, I mean, you even enjoy watching him then because it's just like good to watch. But it's more painful. But he's obviously hurt. But I like watching good quarterbacks. So Rodgers. I mean, I don't like Tom Brady, but again, like Brady is a fun guy to watch just because they're so competent. But all time, I mean, Barry Sanders is a logical choice. I loved watching Kelvin when he played. That was a career that ended abruptly, and apparently things were different behind the scenes than what I thought. But most of my favorite players all time are going to be Detroit Lions.
I did want to throw, now that I had a second to think about it, Le'Veon Bell. I love Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, high character guy, really good guy.
No, but he runs weirder than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The way he just kind of like hangs out and then goes. And obviously he's a Spartan, so gotta love him for that. But
you have to, yeah. And,
I don't have a choice.
Any behind the scenes stuff that he does, whatever, no big deal. Those Steelers they're just a good bunch of guys overall.
It's weird. You would think they would I don't know. It's not really what their franchise is usually about. But.
Yeah, I know, that's true. But this week, Lions-Steelers, Sunday night, so I think I'll definitely get to watch it. I don't know if you will,
I'll be able to watch it. It'll
be exciting. So a couple of teams we've mentioned facing off. Lions 3-3, Steelers, I believe
5-2.
5-2. So I like the Lions this week. They've had some trouble, but they're coming off a bye.
Coming off a bye week.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
I'd like to say I'm optimistic. In the pick'em that I do with my family, I always, not always, but a lot of times I'll pick the Lions to lose because then I'm happy if they win and I'm okay if they lose.
Exactly.
In the pick'em.
That's a good way to go about it. We'll see. I don't know. I think the Steelers are. I don't know. The Bears beat them, and I watched that whole game, so anything's possible.
And you were happy about that.
I was happy about that. Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I guess before I say thank you, I want to say the next episode is going to be Too Many Cooks. So we're going to be in the kitchen.
Can't take the heat.
Get out of the kitchen. And thank you again to Audible for sponsoring this episode. If you want to get your free book and 30-day trial, go to audibletrial.com/HomeandPodcast.
That's right. Thank you for listening, listeners. Jordan, thank you for joining me. And I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.